Hi, I'm Lauren Francesca.
And I'm Brad Grunberg, and this is
Hi, I'm Brandon
How
Maggart.
to Start. And that is, say your name
Brandon
again.
Maggart.
Brandon Maggard. Yes. How are you?
Brandon, you are an amazing actor, singer, performer, artist, writer. Is there something that's a favorite of all of these, or what's your favorite out of everything?
I think Dad and Grandpa.
Dad and Grandpa. That's a good one.
Ah,
And you
that's
have a
I'm
lot
going
great.
to
of
move my
kids,
camera
right?
closer because maybe that helps a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't scare anybody. Is that okay?
No, you're a
That's
handsome
great.
man. You're a handsome man. You're one eyeball. There we go. Two
There.
eyeballs.
Perfect.
How many kids do you have,
Now I got to
sir?
warn you, I lost a tooth, so I look a little bit like Gabby Hayes, so ignore that.
No,
Nice.
that's for a roll. The tooth is missing for a
No,
roll.
that's for waking up in the morning. I haven't lost a tooth in over 80 years, but last week I lost this tooth, and I kind of like it.
Oh, I think it looks great.
Hey, maybe Gabby Hayes. Gabby Hayes said, "Hey, Roy, hey." You guys
How,
too young to remember it. Gene Autry and Gabby Hayes, right?
yeah. How many kids do you have, Brandon, and grandkids?
7,
Seven kids, and how many grandkids?
7.
Wow,
Wow. That's a
that's
lot of
good.
that's a lot of birthday and Christmas presents.
I'm going to Vegas. Go to Vegas. Bet on seven. No, no Vegas. Okay. Brandon, can I ask you a question? You are an amazing actor. You're in some of my favorite movies of all time. We love, first of all, how did you start as an actor way back when? How old were you? Why did you start as an actor? How did you start as an actor? And all that good stuff.
Are you sure you want to hear this stuff? It would take me tell me the speed. Here we go. Okay, I started very young singing to my next door neighbor little girl. She liked it, and I was off to the races. And then went to I sang in church, and they liked that. And I think Jesus smiled on me, or he didn't. I don't know, but I sound like Jackie Mason then. But anyway, so then I went to in high school. I went started doing plays, and what I didn't. I had no idea about doing a play. I was an athlete. I played football, boxing, wrestling, all that stuff, and I like girls.
I
But
do too.
but
I do too, Brandon. I do too. Brandon,
marvelous.
where are you from? Where did this all start? Where?
Tennessee, a small town in Tennessee called Carthage, Tennessee. It's between 2 and 3 thousand population, but the county is all involved in that. So you want me to go on? Because I'll keep
Yeah, of
going.
course.
Yes, that's why we're having you on the show.
Okay. So my math teacher said Buddy, everybody calls me Buddy. Said Buddy, I'd like you to do a one act play for us at school. I said, what? One act play? I don't think so. She said, well, here, read the script, and I read it. I said, oh, it's about a guy in prison, and he's about to be executed the next day, and this girl comes and tells the jailer, the keeper there, that she thinks that this guy's her brother. She hasn't seen in many years, and she finally gets in. Said that her brother quoted Shakespeare to her, and was so wonderful to her, and she loved him so much. But this guy said he doesn't have my character doesn't have a sister, and blah blah. Anyway, she comes in. We have a long conversation, and all the time. Then she leaves disappointed, but my character doesn't want her to know that her brother was really the killer. He'd killed some people and so forth. And we did it at school. And I had an English teacher, Hattie Terry, uh, rather uh, Zoftic woman, who had wore thick makeup, and and I got nowhere with her, and in English, and but anyway, we did the show, and the door opens, and I was made my exit, and there she stood in all her stoic face and presence, with tears making like Grand Canyons running down through her makeup. And I knew right then that this is a way to communicate. This is a way, if you couldn't get to touch, understand people, if you could get on stage and get their attention, get them focused, and you focus on what you're doing, they will pay attention, and you can make a connection. And I said, wee, I found something now. This is really good stuff. I like, people like to hear me sing and all that stuff, but this, then I went to college and did operas at the University of Tennessee and did plays. Swanee did the University of the South, went to New York, became a waiter.
Oh, I like that. You became a waiter. That means you're an actor. Yes.
I won the Theater World. I won the Grace Moore Operatic Award in Knoxville. It was given every 2 years to the professional singer there for further study, and so I was going to be in the Air Force at the time, but the war was over and they didn't need more pilots, and I'd finished 4 years of training. So I said, "Hey, I've won this." I was married at the time, married to Lou Jan. We had our little baby Jennifer, who is sitting right over there now. She doesn't want to be on camera. She would shoot me if I put her on camera, but she takes care of me, and she's got her dog and her daughter's dog. I'll show you the dogs later. But anyway, so we went to New York, and I promised her mother it'd take me at least 2 weeks to get on Broadway. Because I had been to New York studying in the summer, and I'd seen shows, and I said, "Oh, I won't have any problem here." I think it was 5 years later before I got on the show.
Wow.
So that's my start.
Where did you study acting? Because you did a lot of plays, and you have an amazing natural. I mean, I didn't realize your voice is amazing. But did you study acting? Where did you study?
I didn't study acting as far as acting. I did plays in college, but I studied a little. I studied for about 20 minutes in New York with a famed actress teacher, and she had me walk over to the mantel and pick up an imaginary glass and put it back down, and it cost me some money. And I said, "I think I got this without." So main thing I wanted to suggest, you talk about getting ahead, but I wanted to tell young people to watch, to look at things, to look at the world around you, to look at somebody speaking and see how they communicate, and see movies, plays. See a play. In one of my books, I've written 7 books. One of my books, I have a deceased failed actor, to go back and retrace his steps. And I tell him, "All right, go back into the theater, first theater you come to, and go up onto the chandelier. And you can do it now. Go up on this chandelier and look down and watch the audience enter. See what kind of state they're in. Are they jabber, 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 whatever, and then watch the lights go down. What happens to them then? Oh, they focused, right? And then watch the curtain goes up and they start the play. And watch what happens. Watch the play one night, come back again the next night, and up from the chandelier, and watch what worked the first night is not working tonight. And think about that. Did somebody move over there when they shouldn't have moved? Do they steal focus? Watch that and see it, and do that night after night. And then watch the audience as they leave. What kind of mood are they in? Did they like the play really? Was it a gratuitous standing ovation like I did Carol Channing show? Her husband, Charles Lowe, used to he had people. He had invited some people. I swear to God, you'd see him every night in the front row. And at the curtain call, they would stand up first, right? They stand up first. So that starts. Everybody sees that, and they stand up behind it and applaud. So you can tell that when you're in the chandelier, you're looking down, you can see whether it's a gratuitous applause or if it's real, right? Charles used to go. We went on the road for a year before we opened in New York. And you sometimes we'd play and you could hear crickets. You could hear crickets out there, and but you could hear Charles ha 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 when Carol would say something ha ha ha, ha. Gratuitous, over the board like that. So I tell kids to watch when you're home watching a film. So many films now. Watch the screen and see when you see something there and it cuts to something else. You know that was a storyboard in that shot. So when you're doing your screenplay and you write and doing your shots, that's a shot for there. And the next shot, oh, that's the next shot that you see. And to be interested and watch, not going to class and learn from teachers and all that stuff. Learn by experience has been my best thing, and you can feel the audience. And I've done one of my favorite shows I did was Brothers on television, and we did it live for 5 years for the greatest audiences you ever. Because at that time it was just before the AIDS thing, horrible AIDS thing, really hit full force. But they
wait,
needed.
What does that mean? Wait, what does that mean, buddy? What do you mean age? What does that mean? What you just said, buddy?
Age. You guys speak up. I can barely hear
what
you.
does that mean about age? You talked about age hit. What does that mean?
Well, when the AIDS pandemic hit, Brothers was on in the 80s.
Right.
And it started first, and the AIDS didn't come in till later, which I'll tell you another story about doing. I did Fiddler on the West Hollywood Roof. I played Tevye with with 3 gay children, 2 guys and a gal, and it was the greatest thing ever. And it was during the time of a horrible time, and we knew that people there were packed every night for 3 weeks. At the Harmony Gold Theater here in LA. It was full orchestra, great, incredible production. And it was rewritten a parody of that, of course, with Phil. My big song was, "If I Were a Gay Man." But it was so much fun. But we knew that at that time, a lot of those boys were seeing, and girls, but most of the boys were seeing and laughing maybe for the last time. And it was like so poignant and so important and so uplifting for them and draining for all of us, mostly in the theatrical community, which just devastated an artistic community altogether. So, okay.
Buddy, let me ask you that, buddy. I have 2 questions for you. You were in 2 of my favorite movies of all time. I love your eyeball there. You were in Dressed to Kill with Michael Caine and The World According to Garp with Robin Williams. Can you tell us stories from both of those movies? How about first Dressed to Kill with Michael Caine?
Okay, Dressed to Kill. I was doing a movie called Christmas Evil at the time. Something called You Better Watch Out, where I starred as a young boy. Well, that's a young boy. But he believes in Santa Claus and it's a bad thing. And he grows up and he kills bad people because he's supposed to, that story. So I was right in the middle of that. And they called me to come in, and I did for 6 weeks, and I had 2 days off. Of course, I got Sunday off, but I got 2 days off. They called me to come in and do 2 days on Dress to Kill. Let me turn that phone off. Jesus Christ.
I love it, Fred. Buddy.
Mary Davis calling me. She wants to get in on it. I don't know. I had to hang it up. Anyway, couldn't believe it. So
back to Dress to Kill.
Back to Dress to Kill. So yeah, so I went in and I did the 2 days on that. And at the time, well, you don't have to go on. I'll be 42 years or 43 years sober. I'm an alcoholic, but I have been completely bone dry sober for 43 years, I guess.
God bless you. It's wonderful.
Like it come this April.
That's great.
And I was drinking a little bit because it was during the Santa Claus movie. It was like playing Green Bay Packers in December in the snow, and the thing was awful, freezing up, tip a little bit in during there. But during this, and then I did that, and it was a wonderful. I had 2 scenes. One of them in the movie there now it's just a blink. I didn't know about it. I went to there were 2. It was a wonderful scene that didn't make the cut. And I went to the movie to myself and went up the Upper West Side, sat down. I had good billing. I sat down there and said, it was over. And I said, oh. But Nancy Allen, who played it, her husband was the director, Brian
De Palma.
De Palma, yeah. And so afterwards, she said, Brendan, I tried to get him to leave it in for the European version, but they wouldn't do it. But anyway, did that. The next one was World According to Garp.
Yes,
and I did that also, right? World According to Garp, not between. I did World According to Garp, and I loved that film. It was
just so good.
I played the wrestling coach in that, in a much bigger part, and that with Glenn Close and Robin Williams and Beth Hurt and just a wonderful cat, and John Lithgow, and wonderful people. And we shot that. You want to hear more about that? Robin Williams, I saw one time early in the morning. Came into makeup. And he walks through the door like he's doing an 11 o'clock show. Like that. He's like that all day. Anyway, so here's when about my drinking. We were shooting out on Fisher's Island. I don't know, you guys, you know Fisher's Island. Fisher's Island is an island for rich people out in Long Island Sound. They have their own private airport right in the middle of this small island. And the road that goes around it just goes around. Everything's up on upper level. The beach is down low. The houses are up high. But it's a bar and a gas station and a ferry boat that goes into Connecticut. So and the people, rich people live around there. You don't see their houses. You see their mailboxes. And so anyway, I found the first bar. I went there. The next morning, I went to makeup, and the guy said, I saw you tossing back a few last night. I said, oh, I didn't see you there. He said, I saw you. He said, you remind me of me. I said, really? He said, yeah. He said, I'm going to take the ferry tonight to go to Alcoholics Anonymous meeting over in Connecticut. I said, good for you. So anyway, I went back. Then we had, in the shoot, there's several weeks. We had like a month off or 6 weeks off, something like that. And then went back to the studios in Astoria. There's big studios there to do the interior shots. And during that time, I was still drinking, but I was walking. My 2 youngest daughters, their mother is Diane McAfee. Lou Jan is the mother of Jennifer and Justine, who's deceased a long time now, and Brandon and Juliet and Garrett. But so I was the 2 younger ones. Were living in New York, and I was walking them home from school one day. Had one in one hand, one in the other hand, and we're crossing 111th Street and Broadway. And as we're going across the street, a taxi pulls around screaming, around the corner, screeching, tires screeching. I had Maud Amber in one hand and Fiona in the other hand. It raked them up and leaped across the street almost, and put them down there. And I yelled an expletive. You told me this is a family show. I yelled an expletive at the cab driver, and he screeched to a halt. Now, where was he in such a hurry to get to something so fast, or to get away from something so fast, that he would stop if some old fart? I mean, I wasn't old at the time. If some guy yelled at you, like that, he jumped out of his car and started walking towards me. I'm in the middle of the street, and so some people were on the sidewalk, and I said, here, you got to hold my little girls. I got to attend to this. I can see. And so there were some people there, and they took the girls. And the guy walked towards me. And we didn't even say hello, hi, howdy, or anything. We started slinging fist in the middle of 111th Street and Broadway. And he was, I don't know if you're a football fan, he looked like if what's his name, Harris had a younger brother from Pittsburgh Steelers, a bigger, younger brother with a big afro and rings on his fingers. So he's about, seemed like 3 feet taller than me, coming at me like crazy. Now, I was a boxer when I was younger, but, it didn't look good for me. And we started slinging. We were going at it, and in no time at all, I was on my back. He was running, jumped in his cab, and took off. And there I was looking up. Now, here's my Fellini movie coming up now. You ready for this? I'm on my back, looking up, and it's a circle of people, pedestrians, or onlookers looking down at me. Like look, oh, and I'm looking, oh, and there's one guy, an elderly black gentleman, and he just had just beautiful tan skin and graying hair, short gray hair like this, and he leaned over in the middle of this circle, like looking, and he said, "You shouldn't do that in front of the children." So I went to AA. So anyway, now it's
are you saying you got in that fight because you were drinking, and you got?
Pardon me?
Is that you got into that fight with that taxi cab driver because you were drinking? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that kind of puts a lid on it.
Gotcha.
I mean, I wasn't drinking; I was hungover. If I was drinking, I would have done a better job. But I was hungover.
I hear you, buddy.
Often I wondered what happened to him, that cab driver. Also, there was a young boy on the sidewalk. One of them was holding one of my little girls, or it started out, and I looked at him. He said, "I can't do this." And some women took it, and I left. Things happen in a flash. I wonder what happened to that young man. Did I hit him on a certain day that he was like about to have a nervous breakdown? And some guy said, "Hold these kids!" And what happened to the guy, the taxi driver who ran off? Well, what kind of day had his wife left him? He robbed a bank, or was he just PO'd at something?
Wrong place.
Anyway,
and then you were on Married with Children. What was that like?
Married with Children was I did 2 episodes. I don't know, 1 or 2, 2 I think. You
played Uncle
episodes.
Doug.
It was the director on that was Alex. You guys Broadway people. Alex Cohen, the producer. Now you kids don't know anything. Anyway, he was a producer who produced so many Broadway shows that I've been in, worked for him, and his son was a director on that. And I did this thing on there, and you'd be surprised how many people saw that. I still get fan mail. Hey, I saw you on that. I still get fan mail all the time. People, well, any old actor will tell you that if you've been on it a lot of time. I don't know how they dig it anyway.
Well, a question I have for you is my
Are you sure
father.
you want to hear? You sure you want to hear a long answer?
Yeah, I love the long answers are great. I like the stories. They make it they make everything more real and personal. So that's what I love about you. But you're friends with my dad, and so I've he talks about you like you're, just he loves you, and is you're,
And I love him.
yeah, my dad loves you. And whenever I would have a bad day auditioning, he would just be like, you have to be like Brandon. He'd go on 10 auditions a day and he wouldn't care. And he just, would just go and just go, and then he'd be fine. So how do you have that sense of
Okay,
not caring?
stick a pin in that. Now, talk about show business and what you do and whatever. I don't know, Brad, what you know about her dad too much. He probably know a little
I
bit.
know him. He's a great man. I met him. many times.
Okay, when
Love
Fred
him.
was a kid, he was a wonderful violinist. A violinist, like top line violinist, and his kid, and a dancer. He studied with Balanchine. I mean, he was, and then he did his act with her, with a lot of people. Did with your mom, beautiful mom. I think she was in one of the show with us. I think one of those shows. But Fred and we did Hells Are Poppin' with Soupy Sales, and I think Juicy Jerry Lewis, a later one like that. But Fred and I were both straight, and we
You
were in
are? Are you
we
sure? I didn't know
uh,
that.
Fred straight, yeah, a dancer, a straight dancer, yes. And so we had a tough time. Just women, leave us alone, leave us alone, that kind of thing. So we could communicate, we could laugh at stuff, and laugh at the shows, and I just adore your dad, and I know every time he comes. Do you live out here now, or are you back east?
Yeah, I'm here now, but yeah, he wanted to tell he was like, make sure he knows I haven't been out here since
Yeah,
I saw
every
since I
time
saw
Fred
Brandon
comes
last.
out, Freddie. Every time Fred comes out, he comes to visit Lauren. He comes over to visit me, and we have the greatest time. I have a deck upstairs. We sit out on the deck and we tell stories and lies. Who knows who can tell the biggest lie? I have no idea. But I love your dad, and
I
you talk
love
about now. He to be such a talent as Fred Soretta, and his brother was a great dancer. Danny's a great choreographer as well. Like my hands are getting big there. I'm not Italian either,
it.
but studied so hard. And I said, Fred, why don't you play the violin anymore? He said, Brandon, to play the violin, you have to practice hours and hours and hours every day. I said, we can still play a little bit, and I can't stand not to be great.
Oh,
So he
perfectionist.
couldn't put in enough, because he had a living to make. He had other things to do, and then he opened an acting company, and he's it's like we say, just put both the oars in the water and keep on oaring.
I like that. That's great. That's great.
So how did you stay positive throughout the years?
Well, what else am I going to do? That's what I tell him. Okay, what's the alternative? Nah, maybe I'll stick it up. I have so many in the family, whatever. And I can remember, I couldn't imagine life without having a few drinks after the show. I mean, when you go on stage, the energy is so high, so focused. You're up there, and when you walk out of the stage door, it's dark and there's a rat crawling over a garbage can, and whatever. And so people kind of drift towards Joe Allen's or drift towards other anybody. If you're out of town, oh my God! If you're out of town on tour, I toured for nearly a year with South Pacific with Howard Keel and Jane Powell, and I toured for a year with Carol Channing and Lorelei and my friend Leroy Reams and others, and that's really dangerous because you're out of town, you do the shows, you come out, and then everybody gathers, and then you drink, and then you get into all sorts of trouble like you wouldn't believe. Now in New York, you do a tryout in New York. Go to the old things. You used to go to New Haven, Boston, New York, or Philadelphia, Baltimore. And you come in, and you get to know people in rehearsal and you out of town tryout. But once you hit New York, you would see people at the showtime, except for there was there's a group. My friend Leroy Reams, he's a wonderful dancer, raconteur, and everything. We did 3 shows together, but he's a gay man who just I was so proud of him. He wears his gayness like boom. He's a great dancer, had a great sense of humor. And I've been several talk shows with him, and I knew all his stories. He's from Covington, Kentucky, and he grew up in a little gay boy growing up, and wasn't too easy. But his mommy, he said, my mother called me my mama's little hothouse flower. And I just read, and he became a big star. He did so many dancing. He did, and 42nd Street did the lead dancer in that, and Lorelei was in it. We were both in Applause and Lorelei, and he became great friends with Lauren Bacall and with Carol Channing. Now, being a gay man with her, they were more social. Me, I do the show and I got family, I got other things to do. But Leroy he's written this book. I just read an advanced copy, and it's so full of incredible stories about all the celebrities, especially the big stars. And one of my books I was writing I said, Leroy, what makes gay men so attracted to these female stars? He said, I think it's because they can act so flamboyant with their gestures and how they feel about things. And we like strong women, and they gravitate towards, show people who are flamboyant is not the exact word, but are loud in the room and big in the room and state their opinions and stand their ground. And so I understand that. So anyway, I got to, what?
It's nice. It's nice. I know it's nice, buddy. Everybody should be who they are, no matter gay, straight, bi, whoever. Black, white, green, pink. It doesn't matter. Just be proud who you are. Enjoy life. Be kind, and just live your life. Live your best life, right, buddy? Like you are. Look at you.
Brad, I tell you,
buddy.
Yeah, I tell you. I did, the Brothers show. I told them, but I never met a gay person till I went to New York that I knew about.
Right.
So then I got to. So if you grow up in a place that you only know these kind of people, this color people,
right,
or that religious people, or those when you get in the arts, you become people who are sensitive, who are like you just said. Not all, certainly not all. There's still some. Well, I'm not going to get political on the show and say Trumpers, but I'm not going to say that. I don't want to be political on your show.
Thank you.
Because you cannot win people over by telling them how stupid they are. You have to kind of listen to if you can understand any bit of their kind of the story, listen. And then if you can't abide it another second, leave the room.
Amen.
But I'm not. I don't stick to that all the time on Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, I spill the beans.
Yes, you do.
I go at them. I stay in touch with a lot of my Southern people and my church people. I get after the church people too. I said, how in the world can you be a Christian and follow what Jesus teaches? That's what. I'm not a religious person. We'll get into that. I know you're into spirituality. Stick a pin in that. We'll go into that. But I knew that Well, okay, Jesus was, there was this man who's supposed to walk the earth 4,000 years ago. He said some good things. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay, I'm with that. And be charitable. So I'm with that. But then you get to all this other stuff. They do not begin with they didn't love the Christians didn't love the children trying to get across the border down south, putting them in pens and separating them from their parents. I said I wasn't going to get into this. I'm trying not to.
Okay.
So pull me out of this before I get in deeper.
I'm with you, buddy. Hey,
let's talk about your books. Let's talk about your book.
Okay.
The possums and.
Okay. How many books have you written? How many books? How many books?
Brad, I've written 7 books, and my newest book. Well, see what happened. I had my long career, and then I had a back problem. I had to have a cadaver bone put in my back, and wow. I could move. Anyway, I got better when I was about 80 years old. My career stopped in theater and show business when I was like 65 years old, close to 70. And then I had the surgery. And then I started painting and writing books. Now, I knew that my favorite thing in the world to do was to write. When I was a kid, I knew when I read Black Beauty and Treasure Island, I knew I wanted to write stories. And when I was really little, I wrote it. I Black Beauty. I said, all right, I'm a colt and I'm out running in the barn pound and I jumped the fence to get out of the barn pound. But then what? I think I'm going to have to do some growing up before I can finish that book. So anyway, so now my book that's out now, which is also out in Audible, so you can hear me tell the whole story, 14 hours of me, get tired of me talking here, 14 hours of me telling this story, but where possums dance and the willow sings. What happened to my book, Jennifer? Anyway, I got my book here. I can show you the cover, and I sent you some links there.
Yeah, I was gonna post it after, but if you go to Amazon, guys, you can see it, and I'll post the link.
Okay, I don't know if I can get to, so I can. There you go. That's that cover. Can I read? I'll read you the back part of the cover so you know a little bit what it's about. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to get into the light. I'm going to probably disappear on camera, but I got to get into light. Can you still hear me?
I hear you.
Oh, shoot.
Hey, buddy, can I show? Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
It's okay, Brandon. We can.
No, I want to read this.
Okay.
Brandon, how old are you?
88.
You look fantastic. God bless you. Oh my God.
Okay. Now, do you have time for me to read this?
Yes. Yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Of course. And here's the back cover.
I love the design too.
That's one of my paintings.
Whoever designed it.
Those are your paintings?
I design everything.
Oh, wow.
Except I have some help on my new book. I'll show you that. Yeah, this is a painting I did of me in you like this, Lord, out in space. I'm behind the 8 ball and the yin and the yang, and me in space, and a nude of me in space going around. And so that's a sense of it. Now I'm going to read you what's under that. Jennifer's going to hold the light so I can read it.
Okay.
So if you've been moved in some unique way by the vibration of a cello playing something Bach, or Walt Whitman's poem Song of Myself, laughed at Moms Mabley or Mark Twain, been just swept away by the music of George Gershwin, Puccini's La Boheme, or Julie Stein's Overture to Gypsy, fascinated by the mind and personalities of Nikola Tesla and Maria Callas, traveled dreamlike back and forth through the generations with Gabriel Garcia Marquez's 100 Years of Solitude. Are you open to the concept of quantum entanglement? If so, you might come with me to soar aloft on butterfly wings, where possums dance and the willow sings, off to the near side of the moon to see himself, who I believe to be me.
Oh,
I love so
wow.
you're it's like a poem too, right? Or
Great. That's
Oh,
great.
I've written a wonderful, I don't know if you know Walt Whitman, but different age groups. Walt Whitman is a great poet, and he had a poem, long poem, Song of Myself. And I wrote a counterpoint to it, Song of Myself, which is my best poem so far. I've written a lot of poems, written a lot of songs and short stories and plays. So I keep busy.
any good female characters, plays I should read? Any good monologues?
Say what?
Do you have any good monologues for girls in your plays?
Sorry.
Good. Any good monologues?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't have any good.
Oh.
There's some good in my new book. Kate's Crossing. It's about a young girl. Do you have time for me to tell about that one?
Sure.
Okay, Kate's Crossing. I probably sent you the front cover.
Yeah.
It won't be out yet, but I just approved the cover. Bill Nolte is a friend of mine, an actor friend, and he's an artist. And I asked him to do a watercolor. Now I do pastels and stuff, but for this I wanted a watercolor of a ship and a Minerva type figure with Minerva's owl on the ship with a lantern lighting the way. And I told him about it, and he painted me the most wonderful painting that I use on my cover. Now the story itself is about Kate, very Kate Malone, and she's grows up in London along the River Thames, and she has two classmates. But when she's 6 years old, her mother jumps off a bridge, into the Putnam Street Bridge, into the swirling waters of the Thames, and her father, who's an alcoholic and a poet-styled drunken brawler, barroom sailor type actor, mostly poet song. I don't know where I got the idea for that, but anyway. So, but when the mother goes off the bridge, he sobers up and raises the little girl from 6 to 16, and she goes to this. For some reason, it's a really good school on there, and the three girls, and she's the main one, go to America. This is 1856. They go to America, and to get their passage to America, they agree to servitude for rich people on plantations there. So they'll be not slaves, but they're indentured servitude, what it's called. And so it's about her growing up and her looking. When I say go to the theater and watch, she's a girl that she grew up and watched her mother, the relationship with her father. What's the father in that? What's the student? What's the ship? Ask the father about the ocean, about the river, the Thames going out into the ocean and the currents and everything about going from this. What makes some people go from one place to the other to find their home? And so anyway, that's in her whole life. It's about Kate's Crossing. It's not only Kate's crossing the ocean, it's about Kate from crossing over from birth to the end of this life. And hang on to your seats and hats and everything else. Goes into another life, transmigration kind of life, which I won't go into now, but.
So do you believe in that?
I don't disbelieve in anything. I believe in stories. I believe in possibilities. And being an actor, my mind is so open to anything and so closed to people who are closed. I don't say that anything is true. Now, before you kick me off, I'm going to cut back.
Well, I have two questions for you after you finish this statement. I got two questions for you.
Oh, you got to talk a little louder. Come on, Brad.
All right. First of all, what was your first job, not showbiz related, that you had when you were a kid? What was the first job? Paper route, McDonald's, Coney Island. What did you do first in Tennessee? What did you do? First job.
Okay,
ever.
when I was still in school, I drove a dump truck. My sister was a secretary for a crook and a guy that's worse than him, and so they had her to keep the books and keep an eye on. They wanted her to wanted her to keep the eye on the other one, the same thing back and forth, and so they gave her one truck, and I drove her dump truck during the summers, and it was a big truck, and I got stories about that, but you don't go in. So that was my first really, and I did also building bridges. I did shovel gravel in a wheelbarrow and stuff like that. But I did that because I wanted to be an athlete, not that you make much money, but I wanted my body and my senses and everything like a dancer does. I wanted to keep things tuned, and of course everybody else did it too. What am I going to do? Oh, I did a lot of fishing and hunting too by myself. I had a farm. And I had a pony, and I stayed out in the woods most of the time, fishing and hunting, and not with other people. I did solitude. I love solitude, and I still do. Solitude and thinking. My mind is the treasure like you wouldn't believe.
You are sharp,
maybe not to other people, but to me, I wake up in the morning. What you got for me today?
Yeah.
Positive. Well, very positive.
We have to wrap it up, but the last thing I want to ask you is, first of all, we're going to have you back because you have so many great stories to tell. But could you please address Fred in New York and tell him to come out and visit his daughter and come visit you, so you guys can go up on the second floor and tell some stories and laugh and giggle? Ask Fred right now. Invite him out to LA, would you?
Hey, Fred, do a buck and wing across country. It's settled out here on my deck, and we'll give some jaw to the birds and the beasts around.
Oh. Yeah, you hear that, Fred?
Is he there?
I don't know. He's not here now. No, he's maybe. Hopefully,
he'll be watching.
He'll watch this, right?
Yeah, he'll definitely watch.
It's been a pleasure. You're delightful,
buddy. Yes. I want to tell you, good health, happiness. Only the good for you. You're an amazing guy. Lauren was right. Lauren?
Yeah. Anything, Brandon, you want to promote or tell anyone about?
I want to promote Jennifer, who helps me every day. She's sitting on the couch. She won't be on camera.
We love you, Jennifer.
The dogs. I nothing else. My books. I have nothing else to promote except goodwill and spread love around.
Yes, and we're going to have you back on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is show number 81. That is Brandon Buddy Maggart. I'm Brad Grunberg, and that is Lauren Francesca. We'll see you next time on How to Start. Thank you, buddy. We love you, buddy. You're a good man. See you next time, buddy. Stay well.